everybody. Welcome to Paula's Cozy Healing Corner. Today we're going to be talking about the concept of pathologizing ourselves, what it means to overly pathologize ourselves. A lot of us also will be experiencing this when it comes to just being stuck constantly in the role of the intellectual. So a lot of us are over analyzing all the little nuanced experiences we have here on planet Earth, all of the little coulda, woulda, shouldas in our relationships. So I want to speak to that part of you, that part of all of us really, the inner critic, the inner perfectionist, the one in us who wants to apply labels, a feeling of control, and a feeling of safety, because really I think that's what we're trying to achieve superficially through trying to pathologize ourselves and others all the time. So let's get into it. So my name is Paula. I offer one-on-one coaching for folks experiencing daily symptoms. Yeah, we're talking daily symptoms of complex and or childhood trauma. So this is the kind of trauma that didn't come necessarily from a single event, but instead from a whole whackload of repeated occurrences, a whole line of repeated chronic exposure to stress. Any event, any interaction or relationship style that caused us to suppress our real self in favor of constructing some kind of people-pleasy false self, who in turn, when we live from that person all the time, makes us really emotionally tired. It makes our relationships extremely hard to get to a deep connected level through. We're often stuck, as I said before, intellectualizing everything, nitpicking ourselves and others. It's a really, really tough and sometimes completely joyless and completely deprived of peace place to live our lives from. It completely strips our body of any sense of deep rest and deep relaxation. So if any of these symptoms sound like you, if that sounds like your daily experience, I want you to know that does not have to be the standard for your life. And this stuff, for the vast majority of folks who experience complex trauma, it can be reversed, it can be undone, it can be something that we very, very slowly soothe and nurture in ourselves, and there is another way. So if any of this sounds like something you're interested in, I use somatics, shadow work, some elements of parts therapy as well, and lots more in my one-on-one program. So the links to my program, reading all about me and my background, I'll put it all in the description below if you guys are interested, okay? What does it mean to pathologize ourselves? I'll give you a little definition. The working definition comes from a few places for me. First of all, to pathologize literally means to look for the root cause of. So it's this feeling or this vibe of digging. It's definitely something that's more on the masculine energy side of things. It really wants to know. And it's not inherently a bad thing. Looking for labels is not something I'm inherently opposed to. Having people look for an accurate diagnosis for their experience, not something I'm inherently opposed to. However, it gets to be a really sticky place when that masculine drive in us is coming from a wounded place where there's no voice, there's no kind of rational voice that can tell it, hey, it's okay, you can cool it, you don't have to figure out every single thing right now. There are elements of me and of other people, this is a big one too, that I'm okay with just letting them lie as they are. We don't have to fix this. So we only get into a place of over-pathologizing when we also notice that we're over-diagnosing all of our little micro movements, all of our micro actions, all of our micro experiences. And we'll sometimes be projecting this onto other people too. This is really big on social media, where maybe we'll see one post from somebody, or even a series of posts. Still, a series of posts, they're not going to give you an accurate representation of what this full human thinks, believes, acts like. But from those few posts, we'll just spew labels at this person. Oh my god, you must be a narc. You must be, BPD. We're throwing literal diagnostic labels at people we don't know, or we're labeling people's behaviors, their traits. We're just constantly in this space of self-defense. It's a very prickly place to be. It unconsciously, for a lot of other people, when they're experiencing that from us, because I'll totally include myself here, when they're experiencing a lot of this outward projection, a lot of this kind of blame, it has a repulsive quality to it. When it comes to, someone trying to get to know you, they're not going to be able to get past that wall of prickly energy. So, whenever we're doing this just a whole hell of a lot, that's when we know we're in the space of pathologizing ourselves to a degree where it's eating away at the vitality of a relationship. It's not letting life flow in the natural way that it can. It's not letting joy into your life. It's not letting your brain rest and feel peaceful. So it's a constant search for safety, search for controlling other people's behaviors, because at least we can be the one to put them under the umbrella. And it's also a way that we try to control and preserve our behaviors, keep ourselves on this one narrow little pathway. A lot of times, if you really break it down, and I invite you to do this for yourself especially, whenever we're coming from this place, we're forcing ourselves to act in a very black or white way. And I really would love for you to consider, who is the person, or maybe set of people, or maybe environment in general in your life that first made you think you had to act in a very strict way, or else there would be some kind of relational consequence? Sit with that for a moment. A lot of us will intuitively get an answer. It was mom. It was dad. It was my brother. It was my teacher. It was that one relationship. That moment, isolating that moment, the point's not to stay there and say, oh my god, I blame them. A lot of us will have to go through a stage of coming to terms with our grief, though. So it's also not to be bypassed. However, the point of looking backwards like that is to just notice, and it's quite a poignant moment to realize, whoa, that's where I first learned. It was better to abandon myself than to be true to my emotions. Emotions have a quality of spontaneity to them, a really direct quality of truth to them. They just are what they are. Emotions don't lie, the emotional body doesn't lie, and a lot of times our physiology or our physicality, which mirrors the emotional body speaks through it, and vice versa, especially when it comes to trauma. That stuff doesn't lie. It's just very, very clear. It knows exactly how it feels. It even knows what it needs, what it's craving, although sometimes the intellect kind of brushes over that because it doesn't want to admit, like, oh my god, I didn't get that stuff, and it really friggin' hurts that I didn't get that stuff. So a lot of times our intellect will come in instead of these straight served emotions, because those ones are really potent. And the intellect softens the blow. It allows us to, for as long as we safely can, or as long as the intellect thinks is safe, to bypass really deep things like our grief for the fact that we ever had to abandon ourselves. It's never, never our fault that we were made to feel unsafe. That's a huge one. So a lot of times this part of us that's overly pathologizing ourselves is actually driven by a really tender emotional root cause. It just wants to help us avoid. Please don't look at this grief that's here. Please don't look at the anger that's here. Please just, in general, don't look at the pain that forced me to be born. Forced this part of all of us to be born at all. Instead, this part of us would way rather just drive us through our lives, not be questioned, because that keeps us on that little lane of safety. And to the safety-oriented part of your brain, it is better to feel that familiar safety, even if actually and objectively it's taking you to unsafe places, maybe relationally, in terms of how hard you work yourself, in terms of the food you eat, the way you sleep, all of this stuff. It would rather actually keep you on the pathway towards sickness because that is safer. And that even 1% of familiarity is a better idea to this part of our brain than a fully healthy but spontaneous and totally new way of living. So this is our job. When we come in to heal symptoms of chronic stress, this is what CPTSD is. We're creating new neural pathways, my guys. It's not a small feat. However, it is surprisingly easy in terms of, or at least simple, in terms of how to approach it. So I want to give you, as I try to do in all of my videos, little ideas on how to come back into your body, how to get out of the thinking brain. Instead, what I would love for you guys to do here, in general, your takeaway from this video, if you will, whenever you notice that your overly intellectual brain is really on the move, really tunnel vision, trying to put labels on things, trying to put labels on you, trying to analyze your behavior, analyze other people's behavior and their motives and your motives, and oh my god, I want to ask you, does this beast ever get a chance to rest? Do you ever let it rest? Do you ever tell it what to do? Because you're actually the master. You're the ringmaster here. And this tiger is just really out of control, basically. To get a tiger to lie down, it needs to feel safe. Otherwise, it will just obsessively look for ways to feel safe itself. And that will actually probably come from a wounded place, very aggressive, very tiring. So, this stuff that I'm going to give you tips about, I don't want it to feel like homework. I never want people to feel like they have more to do. Genuinely, the answer here is slowness. Slowness, more rest, and more fun. It sounds weird to assign fun, but the more you create a relationship with how you slow your body down, very naturally, your accessibility, your access to your creativity is going to come at its own pace. So never force the fun aspect of this, but it will come the more you cultivate a relationship. So literally, your task, come back to your 5 senses. Slow your eyes down. So if any of you guys are avid watchers of people like Suki Baxter here on YouTube, she's really another lady who gives you a lot of kind of neuroplasticity, ways of coming back into the 5 senses. So I also ascribe a lot to that. It really, really has helped my anxiety over the years. So one thing you can do, slow your eyes down. Notice the way that you gaze when you are in a stressed or overly intellectual state, when you're in a state of vigilance. Some of us will feel really good just by fully closing our eyes. Maybe picking one thing in the room that is a safe object for you. Maybe kind of softly moving around the room and really moving your head with it is super helpful. That's letting your animal body know, oh, you're actually in a safe environment. Because take this back to the animal kingdom. Whenever you see, say, a tiger, any animal that is a predator, whenever they're relaxed, they're able to look at their whole environment. They're able to gaze really, really far away because there's nothing to focus on. They're not worried about their hunger. They're not worried about their future well-being right now. They're totally chill. They're satiated. They're happy. They're content. So they're taking in all their territories, like these big, luxurious eye scans. So pick something super far away if you can. Just let your eyes rest and like really take it in. So let your eyes luxuriate. Same with your touch. There's a reason that whenever I do videos like this, I have a blanket or I have a soft thing around me, or I'm in the forest, because that's one way that my eyes get to rest. But give yourself something really cozy to touch. So this stuff is such a relief to the intellect part of your brain because it's not braining it. You're just touching stuff. That's it. Nice and slow, and you'll notice, like I notice every time I start to give these tips in person, my breathing slows down. So a lot of times we're hit with the advice of come back to your breath, come back to your breath. For some of us, we can't get there right away. So try other means first, and your breath will slow down naturally. So that's the beauty of some of these methods, is they really are whole body, and never force things. Notice when you're forcing or trying to change an aspect of your slowness, and just let it come. Sometimes it can take me up to 20 minutes for any of these to really like hit me. And that's okay. We just try to stay as long as we can throughout that kind of gateway process, passing through the gate from stress into relaxation. That process, that release of the tension in itself, that takes practice to pass through that, but it's worth it, and you'll get more familiar with that and what it feels like for your specific body, your specific mind. You'll watch your thoughts like very slowly just kind of dissolve, or at least get further apart, more space there. So coming back to touch is wonderful. I recommend soft things. Hearing your favorite sound is great. Some of us are really auditorily sensitive. So that's where sound baths come in. Tune into some YouTube sound baths, a meditative track, a song, anything at all. Even having someone you trust just whisper really gently in your ear and kind of make it playful. Them changing sides. That can really help some people's nervous systems. It can also stimulate other people. So this is where there is a sense of play and experimentation welcome in this. Even smells. So a lot of us will olfactorily be able to calm ourselves down. If you have a diffuser, if you have even just a bottle of essential oils that you like to pass under your nose, to help invite deeper breath, to help invite deeper visualizations of something calming for you. All of these ways, you'll notice every single time I give a video like this and I give my tips are so similar all the time. And I think I say this all the time too, that you will notice that they're so similar all the time. That's because when I'm giving general advice especially, that's the point. This stuff is not hard to remember on purpose. This is really just the act of encouraging us to always develop muscle memory. What's it like to begin to almost automatically soothe ourselves with these really simple ways, using the tool that all of us have. We don't need a perfect body to use these. We don't need some ableist, 100% flexible body to use these little tools. These are just tiny, tiny little things. If you have one finger that works, you can touch something soft. If you have lungs that even 10% work, you can give them 1% more of your attention, and that is perfect. So there's no such thing as, you need XYZ in order to benefit from this kind of little neuroplasticity, somatic way of soothing. So I hope that some of those tips helped you guys. I hope that this video helped you recognize parts of yourself that maybe are a little bit too far down the road of being stuck in that place of pathologizing yourself, your experience, overanalyzing things. Too much worry, right? Like it's too much trying to keep ourselves in a tiny little box. So if this helped, I would very much appreciate a little thumbs up. A subscribe would also be so fantastic, and since this community is very nice and tiny here on YouTube right now, feel free to request any topics that I can help you guys tackle, and I will definitely consider making a video that's personalized just for your issue. I also have an Instagram account. I go live there every single week, and I'm always just adding new posts there in general. So my Instagram will be down below, and as I said before, yes, I do one-on-one coaching with this stuff, so my website's down below. I've got testimonial videos if you're curious about what it's actually like to work with me, and if you have more questions like that, don't hesitate to get in my DMs on Instagram. I also have a chat button up on my website. You'll see it there. It's like a little Facebook chat widget, and just ask me anything at all. I get back to everybody as soon as humanly possible, but I don't miss any messages. So thank you guys again. My name is Paula, and I will see you in another video.